something that I say all the time for me is I believe I am not an expert of anything. The reason why is I always love to say that in any topics, there will always be somebody that knows more about a topic than somebody else.
Welcome to Watch Smarts, where smart people get smarter about watches. I'm your host, David Newman. Let's jump right in. You are in for a real treat. We have industry insider, industry innovator, industry community builder, and I would say the walking encyclopedia of watch expertise for everyone on the planet. And I'm not kidding about this because he'll talk about it later. Mr. Thomas Sandrin, welcome to the show.
Hey, David, how you doing?
So give us a little bit of a backstory because we want to talk about WatchDNA. We want to talk about your other ventures, but you started in sort of the corporate watch world. Take us back to what was your professional journey that brought you to the work that you're doing today, and what were some interesting pit stops along the way?
So first thing, hi, thank you so much for having me. Hi, everyone. So first thing that people might understand when I start to talk is I'm originally from France. I have a strong French accent. Hopefully you don't need to put the subtitles, but, let's see how it goes. But I've been 21 years in Canada. And then in my previous career, I guess, when I started in position in my industry, I was with the Swatch Group. I was the brand manager for Hamilton watches, which is one of the 17 brands that the group has for Canada. And when I started in September 2009, the brand was already somehow developed. Obviously, it's an old brand from the US that was bought by the Swatch Group in 1974. And so my mission at the time was to grow the brand within Canada, build a network of retailers, authorized retailers. And that's a little bit how I started within the industry. Before that, I was in the liquor business, so nothing to do with it. And before that, I was a new immigrant in Canada doing door-to-door selling home services for people that are willing to open the door. And sometimes they open the door just because I was freezing and they offer me a coffee. So that's a different story. But, you start, and I love to say that, being an immigrant here, and obviously 21 years, but it's a pretty cool story. And so, so just to come back in the industry, Hamilton watches for 12 years. And then COVID hit. And as, a lot of people made decisions, every time that there's something happening in your life, you take the left or the right line and you go, and one of the things that I try to do as much as I can is it's very hard to make a decision, but when I make it, I try to just go for it. And I love my parents to death, but that's something that my parents always is, what if I did that? What if I did that? And I try to be, even though I grew up in a bar in Montmartre in Paris. I grew up in the restaurant industry with my parents. From day one, I was actually serving alcohol and selling cigarettes when I was like 6 years old after finished school and going to my parents' work. So I guess I have this entrepreneurship mode in my blood. And then I may be going a little bit quicker than what the question that you asked me. But when COVID hit, I decided to go back to school. And I was still with my position with Hamilton, but obviously stuck at home. And I wanted to really study the industry deeply. So that's where the journey started.
So now we have the two businesses that you started. WatchDNA, we'll talk about first, and then I'm also curious, kind of behind the curtain, what's going on with Northern Watch Services, because that's kind of your B2B, I think, consulting, correct?
Yes, correct.
So WatchDNA, I love this so much. It's where time connects us all.
Yes.
That's what you see when you go to WatchDNA.com, the big banner across the top. Tell us about what is WatchDNA, and what are some of the driving principles that made you want to build it?
Yeah, so WatchDNA is a platform. So first thing first, the name WatchDNA means Watch Dealer Network and all things watches. So what we try to do is through as I mentioned, when I went to school, I did a master in business. I really wanted to study the industry, and I wanted to see the opportunities and the challenges in the industry. And I realized that there is millions of platforms out there that write about timepieces. And honestly, some of them I follow them and I love them and I read them every day and I'm on their blog and their podcast and RSS and all that. And I get educated about that. But a lot of them as well, they have some kind of a purchasing element. They have a link with a commission base or they are a store themselves or things like that. And I really wanted to create this platform that educate people about all the brands available, not just the big ones, even though we talk about the big ones and sometimes we work about the big ones, but we wanted to talk because for the last 5 to 10 years, we see this wave of independent brands, micro brands that are coming. And we see all these B2C shows that people go and they around the world and they can actually experience the brand. And something that is very important for me is when COVID hit, obviously a lot of brands went to the e-com road, and that's what it is, and that's the environment that we live in, with big companies being online. But our industry, I will say close to 83 to 87% of watches, and this is fact from Stat Canada, for example, if you look at the data that are publicly available, or even stat from different countries, 83% of watches actually purchased in stores. And the reason why, because they are an object, but they're way more than an object. It's a moment in time. It's a way of establishing yourself, make you feel better, remembering a moment in time, the watch of your grandpa, the watch when you graduate, the watch that when your son was born, or, and it's one of the only objects that you can actually keep with you, wear or not wear, depending of how you feel, but also give you this memory. Like, for example, recently I have a watch that I didn't wear for a long time, and I wore it. I was like, oh, I remember this is the watch that my son, when my son was born, I bought myself. And I actually don't wear it very often because the reason is when he graduates school, I will give it to him and that's his watch. So I'm lending it from him basically. So that's a little bit. And so I wanted to create a platform that educates. So right now we have more than 450 brands and every week we're adding new brands and we don't charge anything for the brands. Is really wanted to become the encyclopedia, as you mentioned. Then we entertain by doing articles, press releases, but also our own articles. We have 21 contributors that create content for the platform. And some of them write for New York Times, for Odinki, for big publications. We have some from Canada, of course, but in Paris as well, in the States as well. So really international people. And something that you mentioned earlier about, and I really appreciate your introduction about, being the expert. Something that I say all the time for me is I believe I am not an expert of anything. The reason why is I always love to say that in any topics, there will always be somebody that knows more about a topic than somebody else. That's my personal belief. So when you introduce me as an expert, great. Yes, I've been there for a long time, but that is the reason why I love to talk to you about entrepreneurship, about, people that somebody, one of the journalists that we write with that will talk to me about specific movements and, calibers and all that, which yes, I know because I'm familiar somehow with it. And I've been in the industry for 17 years now, but again, I'm coming back to that. It's just really this aspect of always learning, which I love. And that's something that I'm missing. I have a bookshelf, but it's closed. And I'm actually looking to see where can I put a wall with all my books that I can actually have them under my eyes to say, oh, yes. I read this one, but I forgot about it. Let me read again. And then the last part of the whole WatchDNA platform is educate, entertain, and then connect. And so on the connect side, we build first a buyer's guide so people can come and select whatever product, and we have filters exactly like in e-commerce, but we don't sell. And the idea is that really where the idea came from is there's two types of customer. You have the first customer, you know exactly what he wants, and you will go to the website of the brand, or you will go to the store that sells this brand and buy this brand. And obviously the brands love these individuals. Yeah. But then there's a big amount of customers out there that they might know they're ready to purchase. They have a budget in mind, but they don't really know which brand to go with. They might go for a brand A, B, C, which are big brands, but they might be wanting to try a small brands, a micro brands, or brands that match their own DNA, maybe a little bit more. Maybe they're an artist, maybe whatever it is. So we wanted to create this buyer's guide that people can go and be free of any pressure of buying, We also work with some universities. So the last university that I work with is Arizona State University, and we work to add a chatbot on the platform. We work on integrating a store locator. So when somebody is interested to purchase, then we will put them in contact with the brand directly. And again, we're not commission based, so it's very important for us. And I'm keep telling we don't sell, we're not commission based. Yeah. And then also we have a store locator that will tell an individual, okay, you are in this location, and next to you, those are the store that sells the brand that you are interested in. Yeah. And then specifically on the second type of customers which don't know yet which brand, it's very time consuming, because imagine if you're looking for a watch for, I don't know, a watch for $1,000, a black die automatic watch, there's so many options out there. Yeah. So then you will go to brand website A, brand website B, C, D, and then you will try to find a store locator because you want to experience the brand. And I always say that even I work often with retailers as well, and that's more on my B2B level, but I always say you have now in our age, you have to have a website, that's for sure, if you want to bring potential new clients. But your website has to be as qualitative as the personal experience. But realistically, in our industry, as I was saying, people is all about the relationship that they build. Something that I always say is that, again, because it's very emotional, maybe the customer that we look for his first watch might look for a discount, because in the end of the day, it's money in their pocket or whatever it is. But where the retailers are really growing and we see this wave of coming back, of going to the store, especially in our industry, is about this building relationship. When somebody have a relationship with a retailer, whatever industry they are, but obviously in my case for a jewelry store, they will go for their first watch, but then they will go for the engagement ring. They will go for their wedding band. They will go for the cross or whatever religion they are for the children when he was born. So that's really this relationship that's what I'm passionate about, is connecting people. And so that's really what I love to do. And so the idea of WatchDNA, because it was a 1-minute introduction, but I made it 10 minutes. It's ready to educate, entertain, and connect anybody that is somehow related or wants to know about watches.
Quick commercial break here to ask you, have you seen all of the cool resources, downloads, and guides waiting for you at watchsmarts.com? Go check it out. You'll love it. Well, let me ask you about just your own personal experience with watches.
Okay.
I'm curious, what was the first watch that you remember buying with your own money? And do you remember what it cost? Do you still have it? Tell us about that first watch.
So I will come back to your question, but telling you of the story, and I guess maybe it was written. And there's a lot of things that you make your own choice, but sometimes it might be written in you, whatever, journey. My first watch was a Flick Flack. So when I was a kid, I remember my mom bought it to me. I don't remember when and the experience, obviously, because that was a long time ago. But then I moved to the States and I was an au pair, a living nanny, and I took care of 3 boys. And then at the time, the family that I used to live in Seattle, which I say hi, by the way, they might look at this, the Walker family, they actually offered me for my 19th birthday a Swatch. And then after my wife, when we get not engaged, but when we got together after, I believe it was for our 2nd year anniversary, bought me a Tissot. So let's just say that I was already Swatch Group oriented,
Nice.
Because it was 3 brands from Swatch Group. And then obviously multiple Hamilton and things like that. To come back to your questions, the first watch that I ever bought myself was a Hamilton, in my Hamilton time. I had few watches, as I mentioned before, but I never really was collecting them. And as I mentioned, for me, it's not about the objects. For me, it's about the moment in time, and then those objects represent the moment in time. That's why the idea of where time connects our soul is really this idea of this experience of people sharing knowledge and talking to each other. And in the end of the day, I'm in the watch industry and I love what I do. And honestly, I love the people that I work with and the people that I connect. But what I always love to say is, as long that you have a roof and you have people sharing the same passion. It can be knives, it can be cheese, it can be glasses, whatever it is. It's just amazing to have a group of people that are passionate about the same and talking about it. And so that's what I try to do with WatchDNA, is to welcome people that don't know about watches and that want to learn. There's a very simple element working with watchmakers to describe how watch work and what's the difference between a quartz movement and an automatic movement. And we obviously go a little bit more deep in the knowledge as well. But the idea is to invite everybody.
I love that. And that is very much in alignment with our audience. So people listening to this are going to love this, and they should immediately pop over to watchdna.com and look at all the amazing things and sign up and get involved.
Yeah.
I'm curious, Thomas, what do you feel for that beginner, the beginner watch lover, the beginner watch enthusiast, someone that really doesn't know anything about it other than they're attracted to maybe their first cool watch, and then, of course, they get to meet people and they see this can be an obsession. What's something that beginners focus on that actually doesn't matter?
So it's actually interesting that you asked me that, because just before I call, I was showing you a page that we have on the platform. If people want to go, it's watchdna.com/world of watches. And so there's two categories. The first category is basically, and I'm kind of showing here, but maybe we can put it, is I'm on my phone. And basically it's little sheet notes that people can swipe. And every time there's a question and an answer. So this category is the did you know? But something that I didn't show you, we also have a section called beginner versus collector.
Nice.
And so the idea is, okay, what a beginner feel and what a collector feel. So I didn't prep, I'm just reading the first one. Brand choice, beginner, well-known brands, collector, niche or independent brands. Knowledge, beginner, learning basics, collector, deep research and comparison. And I can go ahead and ahead.
Sure.
So I think that could be a very good first step for people to go and learn. And to be honest, even people at the store level that are new in the industry and that want to learn something, use this little cheat sheet to learn about it and just get quick knowledge. And also something that I love to say is that when you purchase something, sometimes maybe as a guy or, when you go out with your friend, with your wife, whatever it is, you want to feel good, you wear it. And it's always good to have little stories. That's why when it's great, the story that we receive at the store, because, sometimes they're limited edition. Sometimes there's a little, that was the Elvis watch or whatever it is, right?
Yeah.
So by having this little thing, you can learn little trick to say to you to learn, but also to others to educate them as well. So yeah, I love that.
What is a popular opinion? Because I love that you're so in this, you're so passionate about it. And I realize that there is a lot of great editorial content. There's a lot of micro content, for example, in in that part of the website that you were showing us. But what is a popular opinion in the watch world that you sort of disagree with?
Ooh.
That you're going to, bust a myth or set the world straight on the way things really are, something you quietly disagree with?
It is an opinion that I have, but I cannot refer the person that told me because he still works for the brand, but I'm taking this word from somebody else.
Sure.
And the topic is smartwatches. Okay. Interesting, right?
Yes.
So, in the industry, obviously, when the first smartwatch, okay, first thing first, smart was an element of watches from a long time. If you look at chronograph, alarms, or tachometer, or whatever feature you have, altitude and all that, there's a lot of brands that I would not say that did that for a long time. So, so let's remove that. But when, let's say, Apple Watch came, which is one that I will see because obviously, everybody know the brand. It was, I will call it the vampires. Like, let's not talk about it. It's like, okay, this is what it is. Let's see how it goes, and then we saw that more and more people are wearing it. Great. But recent, and so in the past, when journalists or people were asking brands about it, they kind of switched the subject or they kind of didn't talk about it. Until obviously now people know that smartwatches are here to stay and a lot of people using it, and you have the Fitbit, the Apple and the Android, and you have all this Garmin and all that.
Yeah.
But not recently, maybe 2 years ago, I had an interview with somebody from a brand, And I'm like, okay, let me ask you the question. Now that I'm on the dark side, I will call it. Let me ask you the question. What do you think about smartwatches? And then he's like, I love them. I'm like, okay, please tell me more. He's like, listen, I have two kids, two son. Both my son, they don't have my brand. It's a prestigious brand, anyway it is. But they have smartwatches. And I'm like, he's like, listen, for me, a smartwatch is a real estate on the wrist. I'm like, okay, tell me more. He's like, what we don't want in our industry is people that don't wear anything, because they're not familiar of wearing something on the wrist. But when somebody wears a smartwatch on your wrist, they will use it and they will do the steps, they will work out. Some people wear smartwatch and a regular watch, whatever it is. But when they are ready to purchase, when they are in an element of, I got my first real job, my baby was born, I got married, or whatever step in their life, they already are familiar with having something on the wrist, and they are ready to elevate or purchase something, or upgrade, I will call it, and buy their first real traditional watch. So that's something that, in the end of the day, it's very interesting for me. And just to finish this conversation, the same gentleman was saying, listen, for me, a smartwatch, it's like a box of Swiss chocolate. When you open it, you eat the first one, and then you cannot stop. So that's kind of the element of, that's, I guess, to answer your questions a little bit of the, what people might think about it. But overall, in the end of the day, the goal is realistically an automatic watch might, lose some time, few seconds per month, and maybe be a little bit less accurate than others that quartz, that digital, that sync automatically with your phone, and the time zone change when you travel or whatever it is. But again, it's all about the emotion. It's all about the meaning of the object.
Yes, very much so. Hey, David Newman here with a quick commercial break. Have you seen our social media channels that have video snippets from our favorite interviews? Check us out on TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube. Now, back to the episode. I wanted to ask you about generations, because my understanding, and you probably have some data and some firsthand experience with this, is when smartphones came out, not even watches, but when smartphones came out, a lot of people stopped wearing wristwatches. They go, I have the time on my phone. And now, today, 2026 and beyond, the young folks, the people that are in their 20s and 30s, there is a resurgence of interest in wristwatches. And I'm sure you consult with brands about appealing to that new demographic. Tell us about the resurgence of the wristwatch, and what are you seeing out there? What are the brands thinking? What do you think? What's going on with the young people who now love watches?
Okay, first thing first. Anything I will say fashion related is there. There is always wave. That's just what it is, right? And,
sure.
And we saw a few years ago the vintage, vintage clothes coming back, and some people are into vintage cars. My go-to one day when I make it is an old Porsche 911 Cabriolet green, bottle green. I don't know if that's the correct translation, but
sure,
vert bouteille in French. Anyway, whatever it is. But no, it's just realistically, as I said, now, in the end of the day, 24 hours is the only thing that everybody shares. That's just what it is, right?
Yeah.
So you can be extra rich, you can be poor. We all have 24 hours. Unfortunately, I wish I have more than 24 hours a day. But coming back to this generation, the new generation, I would say, in the end of the day, I feel that it's a piece of, okay, for gentlemen, for example, we don't have a lot of jewelry. We have a wedding band, we have a watch, maybe sometimes a necklace. It's very basic. So, but also a timepiece is really something that will give you your own identity, that you will choose. Like often, actually, I almost use the word sometimes, but not often, I hear stories of gentlemen receiving a watch, and then they're like, no, actually, do you mind changing it for something else that actually match more the person that I represent or the persona that I have, Actually, I spoke to a watch collector maybe 2-3 weeks ago, and I was just having a coffee with the person, and he told me that for his wedding, he received a watch that was very expensive, And obviously he loved it, but he actually asked his wife if she was able to change it because he had another one that he really wanted that reminded him of his grandpa, So everybody was happy because the watch was cheaper. He actually got the watch, and then the wife got a necklace for herself. So, but So coming back to your questions, a lot of people now use, as you said, they use their phone, they use their smartwatches, but it's really an object that will remind you of moment and also will make you feel that you have, I don't know if you have children or not. We didn't talk about it, but I have 2 young children and I don't really go often on a date with my wife, right? But when I have the time to go, I just like to, hopefully dress a little bit nicer and wear something that make me feel good. And, so that's kind of the idea is really to have an object that reflects your own DNA of how the person or the person that you try to build.
It's funny. I want to talk to you about, you mentioned about books and about watch podcasts and YouTube and social media channels. I was in an airport and there was a not just an airport bookstore, but like an antiquarian bookstore in this airport, which is very, very unusual. And I walk in and I ask the gentleman behind the counter, I said, where would you have books about watches? The first thing out of his mouth, Thomas, he says to me, watches. There's a very interesting discrepancy between the supply and the demand of books about watches. And I said, do a lot of people ask? He says, a lot of people ask. And there's not a lot of books relatively compared to cars or compared to jewelry or furniture or other collectible kinds of things, right? You go to Amazon, you'll find, I don't know, maybe 20 or 30 good books about watches. Yeah. How many books about cars? Thousands. How many books about fashion? Thousands. How many books about, name it? And so I'm wondering, is this an opportunity for content creators and people who are in the WatchDNA community? Should they be writing books? Should there be more blogs and newsletters? I mean, we all know about Hodinkee. We all know about Watch Time. We all know about these big brands. But the fact that we all know about them means, well, there's a handful. There's not a million blogs and YouTube channels and podcasts and so forth. What's your take on the media industry around our obsession here?
So, like every industry, sorry about that. I have a call from Switzerland coming in. In a lot of industry will be similar, but again, I cannot really talk about what I don't know. What I know is that in our industry, there's really the two communication and the two individual, I would say. You have the experts and you have the people that are well known in the industry. They establish their reputation and they write books about it.
Yeah.
And you have the other side, the new generation, the bloggers, the Instagrammers and things like that. That's two different ways. There is obviously room, as you said, to write articles and to write things like that, but to write a book or to be published or you obviously need to have some kind of a level of expertise and a recognition within the industry, within your peers. So that's something that, so maybe there's way more expert in the car industry and maybe there's way more expert in, pharmacy too. I cannot pronounce, so I'm not going to pronounce this word. Anyway, but you know what I mean. So that's kind of what it is. But on the other side, there's a lot of content online from people that are not experts, but passionate. And as you do right now, they just learn with the flow. And actually, it's funny that you said that, and I'm not going to name the person, but I'm very, very happy for him. I know this gentleman that I did few collaboration with WatchDNA and just wrote few articles. And I know he wrote many articles with other platforms. Yeah. And he recently just got offered a job within a brand. And so now I actually text him recently and I said, welcome to the back end of the industry, Right. So that's cool. That's cool. That's very interesting, actually. And I'm very, very happy for him. But in the end of the day, as I was saying earlier, you have a lot of people that believe they know a lot and they will express it to the world. But are they expert in what they said to be able to publish themselves?
Yeah.
I'm not sure. So, for example, for me, and again, I don't want to give too much information, I am interested of writing a publication, but it will not be by Thomas J. Sandrin. It will be in partnership with few names.
Sure.
That's kind of the idea that I'm trying to.
Yeah.
Because
very interesting.
Because again, even though I've been there for a long time and I have a lot of knowledge, I don't feel that I want to position myself as the expert, because there's a lot of things that a watchmaker will know way more about movement than me. So I will put a watchmaker in the watchmaker section.
Right. Exactly. Well, as we're landing the plane here, I've got two pieces of business to wrap up. Number one is our lightning round, and I'll explain that in a moment. And then number two, after the lightning round, I will ask you if there's any final thoughts or kind of closing words of wisdom that you'd like to leave our listeners with.
Sure.
But the lightning round is just a series of 5 A or B questions, just real quick. And it's about your personal preference, your personal taste. That's really all it is.
Okay.
My first lightning round question is strap or bracelet?
I'm a strap person.
Vintage or modern?
Wow, this is a tough one. I would say vintage, but some modern that look like vintage are very nice.
Very nice. Fair enough. One great watch or 5 good ones?
One great one.
Buy new or hunt for pre-owned?
Hunt for the watch that make you feel something.
And then finally, loud watch or quiet watch?
Depending of your own identity. There's some people that love the flashy, and some people
How about you personally? I'm guessing quiet watch with you.
It depends for example, the watch that I have for my son is a 45 mil. So it's a pretty big one.
Yeah.
But and then my favorite watch, which is the only one that I cite, because usually I don't like to give my opinion, and maybe I will not say, but it's the watch that my dad gave me. That was his watch when my my dad turned 18, and she gave it to my dad, and my dad recently gave it to me. So that's my personal watch. So
of course,
everybody have different how it make you feel, but yeah.
Yeah. Perfect. Well, Thomas Sandrin, this was so fantastic speaking with you. Do you have any final thoughts or closing words of wisdom to leave with our listeners?
First thing first, I appreciate them watching the whole video and not shutting after 1 minute. Hopefully everything is good, and hopefully they thought that I was somehow a social person. Thank you for taking the time as well. No, for us, it's really brand. WatchDNA is all about the brand awareness of promoting not only the platform but the community, the knowledge, the people around. And so I'm really grateful for anybody that does that. And then on the other side, I will stay with the WatchDNA topic because we didn't talk about the other business. But
sure.
Something that I also didn't mention, it's being a dad, something that I was missing is being involved with non-profit charity. And so with WatchDNA, we have some element of working with organizations like 1% for the Planet, or B1G1, which basically when somebody subscribes to a newsletter, they can select which organization they want us to donate on their behalf. So that's something that is important as well for me. And listen, in the end of the day, as an entrepreneur, that's what I'm trying to do, is try to be outside my comfort zone, always try to go forwards.
Yeah.
In the end of the day, I guess I will finish with that, but I'm very proud of sharing the same birthday as Gandhi, October 2nd. And one of the motto that I use all the time on my life is be the change you want to see in the world. And so that's kind of how I want to finish that, and hopefully give this aspect to the people to understand what I'm trying to achieve.
Amazing. Well, Thomas, thank you again for being with us. This was a great, great conversation.
Great. Thank you so much.
And that wraps up another episode of Watch Smarts. Listen, if you love this show, if you love watches, subscribe, download, leave us a rating or review on your favorite podcast platform, and check out all the free resources waiting for you at WatchSmarts.com.